Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. And here we are on Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Bob, and it's a cold day. And winter is arriving. Uh, but everything's good. So how you all doing? Um, so many people, have gotten a hold of me on my Gmail, the dude awake 42 at Gmail, the dude awake 42 at Gmail. And you can get a hold of me and you can ask me questions, personal questions. We can have a personal conversation, private. Whereas this is more or less on the internet, and everyone sees it. And that's what's good, transparency, as they say. And get everyone talking to each other, and that's good. And and if you want to drop anything on my PayPal, that would be duly appreciated because I'm on the bop. I can live like a millionaire out in deep green on $400 a month, but traveling around, it gets a little more expensive. But still doing it. And I'm going off to a meeting with a group of people, a group of artists and social activists, and I'm going to help them organize their actions in a collective and build a 501c3 umbrella group that can fund lots of people's things, because it's hard for an individual group to go off and become, unless they're a corporation, it's hard for them to become a 501c3. And that's kind of there are many different forms of magic, right? And we are living in one. Our corporate world, the United States, our Constitution is basically a magical sitchin. I mean, if all you have to do is look at a dollar bill, and there is the pyramid there with the imperial eye on top of it, eye of Horus, and that's where everything comes from. We are pre-Mesopotamian, right? We are a Sumerian science project, and everything around us in the illusionary. The only thing that is real is love. All else is illusion. All that illusion is magic. Just look at DC. DC is sent. The architects, Jefferson and the boys, put it on a satanic pentagram. Come on, please. And the first president, Georgie Porgy, he couldn't help but tell a lie. And a good lie is told with truth. And I mean, that is, if you go look at the Tavistock Institute that invented modern propaganda, you'll see that. And so Georgie Boy, where he got it? The first president of the United States was sworn in on the steps of the New York Stock Exchange. I mean, that kind of tells it all as it is. And the stock exchange is another magic trick. It's a 3-card Monte. So, and everything is right in front of your face. Exterstria, it's hidden in plain sight. And, there you go. That's Ron Reagan would say, there you go again. There he goes again. So magic, living in the illusionary world of the mud puppet, it's all magic. It's all 3-card Monte, right? It's all illusion and delusion, right? We're deluding ourselves, And, I went into state and I brought forth the clarity of the illusion, and see all the kind of haziness that's around me, that is the illusion of the big lie. I wanted to show it to you, right? And magic is just someone's science. One man's religion is another man's magic, which is another man's science. And the only truth is love's co-creation. And the only way you can get that is to be consciously aware I am, right? Say that 3 times. Again, another little section. Conscious, aware, I am. Conscious, aware, I am. Conscious, aware, I am. Right? So I wanted you to see this illusion over here, and on this side is the more photonic light, right? It's more photonic light, right? This side, my left side is more the illusionary, the right side is more the photonic light, right? And to be able to acquire an understanding, you have to be aware. And the next thing you have to be, your consciousness has to be consciously have an intent. Buddha was standing by the side of the road, meditating in a glowing essence of Buddha-ness, and a traveler stumbled upon him and said, "Wow, man, what are you? Are you a god?" And Buddha said, "No, sorry." "Well, man, what are you?" And Buddha replied, "I'm awake, not awoke." Again, spelling, grammar. Grammar, your ideas should not be measured by the yardstick of grammar. And spelling is just a spell. Do not eat the poison apple. If any of you have read my writing, I go out of my way to misspell words. Not all the words, but words, right? And I use grammar in the most creative of ways, And many a person who would read my writing would say, "Well, you just don't know how to spell." Well, I do know how to spell. I just spell incorrectly on purpose to break the spell of spelling. So all these folks who want to, Sensei, Bob, can you teach us magic? I want to be a shaman. Gang, none of this. There is no finish line. It's all a work in progress. When Moses was up there on the hill with the sheep, and the burning bush showed up, and they talked, and the burning bush said, "Moses, you have to go back to Egypt and free our people." Well, the freedom of the burning bush was not against, the oppression of Egypt. No, Egypt, the Hebrew nation was in Egypt as middle management. They were doing pretty good. They were living high on the hog, And that's what happened. They had lost their way. They were no longer living in love's co-creation. And that was, and that's why, Moses took them out of Egypt and brought them into the desert for 40 years, was to break their oppression of their own addiction of belief in magic and addiction to convenience of comfort, right? So, you're living out in the woods for 40 years and all you're eating is, manna from heaven, which should, give you a little heads up on what it is. But no, no. So many of you guys are enthralled with my stories of the old crone. And she was a crone, not a witch, a crone. Big difference. Witches are, if you, the Greeks, talked about the sisters in the Delphi Oracle, and what they were doing was huffing gas coming out of the earth. It's like, breathing, gasoline fumes, and and in Shakespeare's toil, toil, boil, and bubble. No, I mean you can get a specific outcome, but it's not. It's just a specific outcome, and you have to manipulate a great deal of stuff to get that specific outcome. And so that's what the corporate world does. I mean, guys, you go into a Walmart, it's like black magic, and you are addicted to all that stuff. I mean, I can relate. 30-40% of every day, I'm a moron. I go in there and go, ooh, stuff. I want stuff. I want stuff, And, I'm limited, Back in the day when I worked in the corporate world, I had more money than I really needed. And I only worked 11 weeks of the year, right? And because I knew if I got really into it and worked every day, I would have, more money than really I needed, and I would be really deluded, and I would really be, way far away from my conscious awareness and conscious intent of love's co-creation. I'm here to, in every day and every way, take the piece of the earth and make it stronger. Not as some big hero. No, it's just little old me, right? And yesterday I went around and had a number of meetings and saw a lot of doctors, and my doctors take care of me because I talk to them and I listen to their problems. Pretty much what I got is I'm not getting rid of it, but I keep myself in homeostasis. I have aplastic anemia, diabetes, Charcot legs, neuropathy, a bunch of other things, right? My charcoal legs, I looked at the x-ray of my foot. It looks like a old can of tuna. There are no bones. It's just mush, right? And they gave me a nice little ankle support thing, so my foot won't just snap off. But I've been walking around now the last 7 years with this and everything else I have. My endocrinologist, he constantly says the same stupid joke. You're the healthiest dead guy I know. So, and that came from my 10 years or so of working in the corporate world. That toxicity did me in. But I wasn't done. I died in a plate of spaghetti, went to the other side. They're having the party for me. My masters sat down with the party hats on and balloons and said, hey, good to see you. You're doing a great job, Al. And I said, oh, I just want to go home and rest. And they said, well, you can do that. But if you do that, you haven't completed your assignment. And you agreed. And so if you just come home, yes, you've done a great job so far. You get a few stars for that. But you haven't finished. And in essence, there is no finishing. All I can do in this life, in this form of Sensei Alba, is to, in every day and every way, take the piece of yours and make it stronger. Until, I've done, and I have a few other little check boxes to go, other people to help, right? And so like all the doctors and nurses and hospital people I saw, about 10 that yesterday, I talked to, and I read their palms, and I gave them a cold reading, and more than half were like teary-eyed going, and they broke through. That's what I'm here to do. Nothing like, be on the stage and be the hero, because we can all be heroes in every day and every way, individually. If we all were consciously aware, if we all had our conscious intent on what we were here to do, the world would be fine. We'd have no wars. We'd have no suffering. We live on a planet of abundance. The real magic is seeing what, love's co-creation has brought forth, and that we, in the corporate magic world, do everything we can to destroy it, Because those pinheads, that it's all about their ego. That's what magic is. It's ego, And if you get caught up into that, because all you get is bad thoughts, bad actions, bad outcomes, right? With love, good thoughts, good words out of your mouth, good actions, good outcomes, right? And that's what we're here to do. So 15 minutes and something seconds. Oh, my back. Ooh. I mean, it's warmer. It's like 20 out there right now. I'm in my little park right here. And, it's, I'm sleeping on the couch and it's all, and this house is really haunted, it's got bugs, no, the bugs are, because if bugs bite you, they leave a mark, right? And that mark stays there for a while, at least a day, if not longer, right? Mosquitoes, you bite you, it's, chiggers or no-see-ums, they bite you, that mark is there for a good day. You have bed bugs, not only, you look like polka dots, right? But I'm getting chewed up here, and yet I have no marks, right? And so I wanted to state this place had, this farm goes all the way back to the plantation days. And the house that I'm in was because the plantation has been turned into a cul-de-sac, and people who are just middle class who think they're rich because they have a house that the bank owns. Majick. Fractionalization. Banking is Babylon magic. Making money out of nothing. And just because you drive a Lexus doesn't mean you're rich. Even people like Elon Musk ain't rich. Because all of those pinheads, Facebook boy, Tesla, Elon, I saw him get interviewed one time, and he didn't know who Tesla was. And the guy said, but your car company is named Tesla. And he says, well, my lawyers told me I should name it that. It's like, really? And same with Billy Boy, Microsoft, and, Jingo, Jeff, and all of those clowns were genetically engineered to be poster boys. They all come from the same families. They all go to the same kind of schools. They all have the same, I'm entitled to screw you, Beginning of the pandemic, Jeffy, screwed his poor workers, made them work in most unsafe environments, and made, an extra $50 billion, the last check that went out from Jojo, the used car salesman, just sent everyone like $600, but the top 1% got $5 trillion, and lots of counties and cities got money, and it's sitting in their account, and they're going to spend it on, not what, people's rent or people's needs or people's health, but no, just on the general budget, paying them, giving themselves a raise, so this is all magic, guys. And that's why there's consequences, right? So it's going on 20 minutes now, and it's probably getting around 10. What time is it? Let's see. Move the little thing down below. Yeah, it's almost 10 o'clock. So I'm going to zip off in a few minutes. No one showed up. No one said anything. So, but I'm going to try. And, I usually don't use the word try. I use the word do. I will do this. I will do that. I have conscious intent to do this, right? And as Yoda said, don't try, do. But so when I say I'm going to try, I say that on purpose because I don't know if I'm going to do it. I'm going to try, right? Around 8 p.m., sometimes between 7 and 8. I'm going to go online and do this. This is more like a announcement. I still don't understand how to, do that. And I don't understand anything in the illusionary world, the magic world. Now, I understand its consequences, and I understand its history, and I understand its psychology, but utilization, not so much. There was a period. So when I was the old crone, right, and I stuffed the animals in the convy to take them for a ride, go down to the pub for a drink. And she showed up while I was trying to get the horse, the cow, into the convy. Um, and the horse was sitting out. I'm not going. I'm not. The crone doesn't want us to go. No, I'm not going to go. That's what the horse was saying. The dogs and the pigs and everybody, yeah, the chickens and the ducks, they were all like, let's go to the pub. Let's have a drink. And I basically disappointed the old crone. Now, she knew I was going to do that, but she wanted me to be, she was missing a student. She had been doing the job for 100 years, and she didn't have a companion, a student, right? An avatar, a adept at her side, right? And I was it. And she knew I was too young. I was the dude, I wasn't, Sensei Al Bob. I was the dude. And I just stopped being the kid. So she knew, she said, well, this guy's the most amazing guy I've run across in a while. So, and he's young and he can stoop me all night long, And she would turn herself into a pretty attractive 19-year-old, and she could change herself, from a black lady to a white lady to you name it lady. And that was kind of fun, and to be intimate inside of someone, and this kind of change and exploration and understanding of everything, sex and biology and you name it, when you're that close to a person, it's pretty intoxicating. At least for me it was. And she liked it. So but she knew I wasn't ready to be her adept, and so I had many years of experience to put under my belt. So that's why I went to visit her 3 or 4 more times, right? But when we left the hill and went back to Dublin, we stopped into Limerick, and we went into a place that was like straight out of Harry Potter. Totally magic. I mean, magic. But the crone was not magic. She was, the crone. She was the essence of Gaia, which is not magic, right? And so she was love's co-creation. That's what she wanted. But she's still a human. And see, all of this stuff there is no finish line. It's a work in progress. And again, back to the burning bush and Moses. The burning bush said to Moses, hey, you're going to go do this and you get our people, the Hebrew nation, out of Egypt, and it wasn't out of Egypt. It was to free the Hebrew nation from their ego, from their materialism, from their addiction to magic, That's what the Kabbalah is, Jewish magic. And every religion has it. It has their taste of magic, right? And Christianity, the Vatican, their magic is science. Go to the friggin' Vatican Library. So anyway, the old crone took me to this little alley, which was just, and I love the word alley, right? I love alley. And what it is a doorway into many things. And that's magic, right? The 9 doors, magic, right? Now, like I said, one man's magic is another man's religion, is another man's science. And I incorporate all of them in love's co-creation, right? That's what I'm here to do, right? And it always takes care of me, and I don't have to, set any spells or do any, do is pray, And so anyway, when I went and, she took me into this tea house, and I had a cup of tea with this woman who read my tea leaves, and she read everything I was ever going to do. And then snapped their fingers, just like I just did on you guys, and I kind of forgot everything. And there were 3 signposts that I was given to remember, and they were all, I'm going to be married 3 times. I already had my first wife, my training wife, Donna Ann, who's like, it was a great training wife, and she's a great person. I love her still, and she's out there in the world doing what she's doing, and she's doing a great job at it. And I was happy she was a crone. She was a Celtic princess, but everyone just told her she was nuts. And I said, no, you're not. You're powerful. You're a triple cancer. You feel everything, right? And my second wife was my twin flame, the person who I loved the most ever, right? And she died in my arms. And that was a lesson I had to learn, right? Because we were only supposed to be, she had hurt her heart, and she needed someone to heal it. That was me, right? And I loved her unconditionally. That's why I learned to, I'm going to start to cry here. I learned unconditional love by loving her. She was, triple Aries, Virgo, pretty tough to be, and with a lot of Capricorn. And there was me, totally Aquarius, Alphron here, boy. And, I healed her heart. And she died of a heart attack in my arms. So that was my second wife. And on my third wife, I have one more left. And that wife is allegedly another, the mixture of both of those two, even more than powerful than the old crone. And that's my third wife, right? And I'm supposed to have children, and I'm 70-something. So I'm supposed to live another 20-something years, easy, right? And I'm supposed to have children, plural, right? Now I have 128 godchildren, so I've had a lot of children, taken care of a lot of young folk, and help them into, being young adults, and then having a life. And they all, these are all people who were kids who were like running across the street with a gun in their hand, going, and hey kid, come here. What are you doing? Well, Jimmy told me he'd give me $10 if I ran the gun over the Bobby. And I said, that's a gun that was just used for a felony, and you're gonna get, stopped by a cop because you're like running with a gun like this, and they're gonna do forensic and find somebody who was killed with that gun, and you're going to jail for 20 years at least. So give me that gun. And I would grab it, and I'd think, newspaper. Here, I'll grab this and no fingerprints, and I throw it down the storm drain. I said, listen, that guy's going to give me $10 just to run this thing across. You thought that was a good deal. I'm going to give you $10 an hour to be my electrical helper. And so I pretty much taught all those people how to be electricians, right? Now, more than a third of them found that that's really what they wanted to do, and they now have businesses and families and homes and all that. And the others learned how to master, and that's what, if you learn to master one thing, you can master anything. Now, most people spend 10,000 hours at something and become really good at it, but they don't master it. They're just really good. You look at, a good example is like Bill Gates, and the Beatles. The Beatles, exactly, because they kind of understood this. They were just a garage band, not that, the best musician was was George Harrison and Ringo. They were the two real good musicians, and Paul and John were just poster boys. So they went over to Germany and played in a beer hall, titty bar beer hall for a couple of years, and put in their 10,000 hours, and they got really good at being the Beatles. And they had management that sculpted them into a product, and they were the first boy band, and the rest is history. But they didn't master it. Now, Paul McCartney is kind of getting towards it, And a good person of mastery is like Elton John, but still he's not mastered it. Another good one is, Joni Mitchell. Now she's more a master at her skill because once she learned how to be a bard and a musician, she's a painter and she does a ton of different things. She's mastered her art form, right? And so I was taught, if you master one thing, you can do any. Well, I started, working on mastering electricity when I was an infant, when I stuck the knife in the electric socket, right? So I've dealt with, I've helped bring up lots of children, and helped start organizations that assisted children and got them out of the way, and not to there are a number of nonprofits in why am I in Roanoke, Virginia? I'm not in Roanoke right now, but why did I spend 20 years? Because it was a microcosm of America and the world. And so there's all kinds of nonprofits, right? And just think of the few and the poster things of nonprofits for poor people, right? All of them here, like the one that there's one where the guy who runs it employs his wife and his kids, and he pays the family $3 million a year of their budget, right? Do they really need $3 million? That money could service mothers and children, but it doesn't. It goes into their house, so they have a big house, and their kids are driving Lexuses, and there's another entity, a nonprofit that's supposed to take care of homeless children, right? And people have given them a lot of money, and they have about, $60 million worth of donated real estate, and they do zero. They have a place in town that could, house at least 200 kids every night, and they have big kitchen and a big place to sleep and showers and indoor gym. They don't use it at all. They don't house or home anyone there at all. And the other place that does do that, the homeless old drunks, it's a Christian place, and to get your bologna sandwich, you have to go to church, right? And they kick you out at 9 a.m. and don't let you in until 7 p.m. And they make $50,000 a head, and they house, or really the better term would be warehouse, about 400 people. So they get $50,000 a year for 400 people. So that's a lot of money. And they own a ton of real estate all around their facility, abandoned buildings, and I tried to get them to use the Homestead Act of 1876 to fix them up. And they said, no, this is our investment. We're just holding on to this property, waiting for Roanoke to trend up, and then we'll sell it off for a lot of money. And that's nonprofits. That's how they roll, right? So that is all magic. And there's consequences. When you use magic, it eats at your everything, right? It destroys. Hey, I'm telling you, I was working for the biggest corporate guys. And what was I doing? I was using my skill set of reading and negotiating, which is a form of magic, to get the most stupid rich people to sign the contract, I mean, they were going to make 20, 30, 40, $100 million, and they weren't signing it because they didn't like Larry over there, right? They were going to screw Larry, right? And I just got them to see who they, I just kept scraping at that scab of their personality until they saw who they truly were. And then they kind of broke down and got through it and said, you're right. I should just sign this, take the money. I'm 70 years old, just going to, and I and they'd hug me and kiss me, because this one guy, once I did this, and we had to come back a week later, they signed it, everything was done, but there was more things to agree upon. And we came back a week later, And that was fine by me because I had the whole week to spend in the, forget 4-star. I was like in a 6-star. I was in a spa hotel ranch place that not only was I getting massage every day, my dogs were too, and they were getting their claws pedicured. Anyway, so that was fine by me. I could enjoy the high life for another week on the lawyer's nickel, and anyway, so I came back, and the most disgusting of those people came. I'm sitting in there, and they come in, and they come over to me, and they give me a big hug, and it said, oh, it's you've changed my life. I was on my 8th, a trophy wife. I'm 78 years old, and my wife is 30, and she's like Bo Derek, and I hated her, and she hated me, and we had 2 kids, and I have about 12 other kids with the other wives, and I hated everybody. Once you broke me through, I love everyone. And I had the greatest sex with my Bo Derek wife, and I realized she's not just a trophy; that she's a human being, and I love the person who she is. And we're going to go to Spain and buy a house and just be a fisherman on the beach. So that's that's what I was doing in the corporate world, and but it still had a consequence and cost to me. I gained 200 pounds. Why I am so busted up. I have to hobble around. But, I wasn't, none of those medical people thought I'd live through the night. But they're still going to crack open my chest and give me a quadruple bypass and cut my legs off because they would make 200 grand out of that. That's called magic. Throw away me as a piece of baloney, and they make 200 grand. I don't even have to do it right. Just like, ooh, they can play tic-tac-toe on my liver. So, this is the consequence of magic. And all you folks who keep, connecting to me on the dude awake 42 at Gmail, and you can all come and talk to me. That way I can talk to you personally and tell you magic has consequences. And magic is the illusion. That's, illusionary. A magician is an illusionist, right? So I'm going to go on more about this tonight. And there's 2 of you there. Hey, 2 of you. How about some thumbs up, right? How about getting some more subscribers, and how about doing something in your own neighborhood? Start a salon, start a coffee shop, an art gallery, go out and help homeless people. The more you serve others, the happier you're going to be with yourself. It's the we in me that your life is about, nothing else, right? And go enjoy the life you have. Don't, I want to have a bigger house. I want a fancier car. I want this. I want that. No, forget that. Everything you need will come your way, right? And when you let do things in love's co-creation, it's not magic. Then it's, reality, right? So, your Sensei Al Bob here is going to be around for a little longer until, my due date has arrived. No matter how many times I die. I still have another 3 deaths in me. I've done 6. I got 9. And I still have one more wife that I'm going to have children with, right? And she is going to be the most amazing of women, because she's going to be and I've had great women in my life. I've had 2 great wives, and I've had 5 amazing. They were wives too. We just didn't get married, and I wasn't ready to have infants, babies from their loins, right? And each of those 5 women I hung out with for more than a year and a half. Some 2, 3. Some were, we were together for a year or 2, and then we still loved each other, and we would become. I started to move into my what I would call affair to remember, meaning I meet someone, have amazing connection and traction with them, but it's pretty obvious that we're not going to have a nuclear life together. We would go nuclear, But we still loved each other and still liked being with each other. So we would do it over the years. We would get together when they or I were not involved with anyone or had time to do it, and in our paths crossed. Um, we would do that. So pretty much from 94 on, all of my relationships with women have been like that. Really great women, but they all had careers. They were all doing something. And if they were going to be with a guy, they wanted to like have a house with them and have kids with them and have them pay for half of that lifestyle, and they could still have their career. And I was past that. Did that, done that. Not having babies with them, but had with women who were that. And then I had a ton of other women who just kind of floated by and made anchor on me for a short period of time. Anywhere from a week to a year, right? And that's great too. I'm a committed guy. I'm a monogamist. Yes, I've had loads of women. Hundreds of women in my life, but I do them one at a time. I could never understand guys who were players. I mean, it's when I was the dude, Mr. Disco. I guess I was a player because I would be going into all these discos every night to make sure things were working, so the inspectors wouldn't, ask for a bribe. And I'd spend from 8 to 1 in the morning doing my little, and it was in a pretty close circle, like within a 60 block radius. And each one of time I went in there, I would get a drink or whatever, and $100 a Benjamin. So I'd make $600 to $2,000 every night just by going into nightclubs and having a good time. And that light bulb needs to be changed, right? And in that period of time, man, I hooked up with, I was having sex in the clubs, in the bathrooms, and these girls would just glam on me because I would, they'd be waiting online, behind the velvet rope, and I just walk, hey, how you doing, Bob? Walk in, right? And they're all like dressed up, the guy, oh, you're not dressed up good enough, and I just be like looking like me, hey, Al, how you doing? And I'd walk in, right? And so that period of time, I'd have 6 to 20 women a night, and that's just before AIDS, right? And AIDS really put the brakes on that. But really, I quit. I did that for 1 year, when I was, how old was I? I guess I was 22, and somewhere there, because it was past, yes, around 22. And so I had done all this, and I hadn't done that yet. So that was that period. And so that's when I realized that it was, no matter how amazingly beautiful these girls were, how amazing, uninhibited they were, no matter how unbelievably horny they were, it was like, it was magic and it was an illusion, and I really got nothing from it, right? And I could have gotten a lot of things from it, but I didn't, because I was meant to experience that and realize, okay, to learn. And if, no matter what you do, no matter what problem you have, no matter what situation you're in, if you learn from that experience, then it was all well worth it. So that's pretty much my situation, Now I've learned a lot. So now I'm more in the service oriented, more I serve love's co-creation in every day, in every way, to take the piece of the earth and make it stronger. That's my prayer every time I wake up, and then I consciously aware I am, consciously aware I am, consciously aware I am, consciously intent. My intent is to serve love's co-creation. So the next 20 years or so are going to be that. And no matter how old I get, body-wise, it'll still be fine. And very soon, in a year or so, because I'm supposed to have children and bring them up, so I can't, and it doesn't matter how old I am, I'm going to inseminate and fertilize and procreate. like a butterfly. I've been a chrysalis all these years, and now I'm going to, fly as a butterfly. So my age is irrelevant. My service is all there is. And so that's why I'm doing this channel. That's why I'm talking to you guys, right? So anyway, so that's it. I'm getting hungry. I'm going to go make myself some breakfast, and then I'm going to go meet these folks. Okay, see you later. I'm going to try and do a show between 8 and 10 tonight. Okay? Okay.